The Om is this powerful energy, and it's the energy of the universe. The word Om is defined by Hindu scripture as being the original vibration of the universe. And so by chanting Om, our mind becomes aligned with the breath, which enables us to get into an elevated state of consciousness called samadhi. The activity of attaining samadhi brings the materially absorbed mind under control, which enables us to have one pointed focus towards spiritual realization. And that came from the American Hindu Foundation. The idea of creating a peaceful world, because that's what this month is about, creating peace. And we don't create peace because there is nobody we don't get along with. There is no situation that isn't frustrating. None of this. What happens is peace is a choice we make moment by moment, a way we choose to live. Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So if we want to see a peaceful world, a world that's filled with kindness and support, respect and love, we have to begin where we are, and we must begin with who we are. And it requires us to take our thinking maybe a little bit out of the head and place it in the heart space, so that we're coming from heart space rather than from ego or from a consciousness of separation. Okay. So the idea of peace, Ernest Holmes said in the Sermon by the Sea, in 1959, he said, you find me 1,000 people in the world who know what it is that we do and use it and live it as it is, and I'll myself live to see a new world, a new heaven, and a new earth here. Imagine a small number like 1,000 living it consciously, creatively, moment by moment, will create a shift. When you consider that there is only one thing going on and that we are all connected because we live, move, and have our being in the universe, right? So all of us are connected in this oneness. And because of that connection, everything that we think, say, and do goes into the collective. So we are, in fact, either raising the vibration for all, or we're, in fact, bringing it down. Either way, everything is a vibration. Everything is in motion. Change is the constant. And if we want to live in a peaceful world, we cannot be looking out there for what's wrong or what's right, but rather in here for a sense of our connection to the all, connection to God or spirit, first cause, universe, whatever name you want to give that infinite possibility. And then a love of this physical, what feels like a finite form, and begin to acknowledge that the infinite lives here, that the infinite is the cells of my body, the activity of my mind, and the journey that I've walked, every step of it. And if I would like to have a peaceful world, I can't look to you to give it to me. I can't look to you to change a behavior so I can be peaceful. You see, I must choose it. I must decide today that I choose life. I choose to live in harmony with nature, with the world. I choose life. I choose peace in that life. And I do that by acknowledging that not everything is perfect, but it's irrelevant. Perfection is not what I'm going for. I'm here to experience the fullness of living. Ernest Holmes also said, it is done unto you as you believe. Now think about that for a minute. What is it that you really believe about life? What is it you really believe about your current circumstances? Is everything going well? Is everything beautiful, wonderful, fantastic? Are there challenges? Or should I call them opportunities? Opportunities for transformation, for change, for creating something new. You see, we're all in this together. And for us to believe in the experience of peace in the world, we must already believe that peace and believe that peace is possible. Because it is possible. By coming together in spiritual community, we actually bring ourselves into this space of allowing life to unfold without judging, criticizing it, but to allow it to unfold. If I'm created in the image and of the likeness of the Creator, then what that means is I am made of it. If it's powerful, creative, intelligent, I must be that also. So what I want to do is I want to find my path, my rhythm, my focus. And I do that by allowing myself to come to an understanding of life and what it actually means and why I'm here. I mean, think about it for a minute. Why did we come into this life experience? We sit back and we'll often say, I don't know. Anybody here think that while I was saying it? I don't know. Well, what if at some level you do know? And there's just a part of you that hasn't been willing yet to recognize it. It's possible. All right, so let's get back to practice. Often you might find, I've noticed, that my mind can be very busy. How about you? Do you have a busy mind? So when we take the time to quiet our mind, to focus, we can harness the energy of that infinite presence and create what it is we would really like to have in our lives. And we could create a peaceful world. And when we do it in community, when more of us gather with the same ideas and thoughts, what we do is we amplify the energy. So coming together in spiritual community is a powerful way for creating a healing in our world and in our lives. And it's up to us each individually to come into that. And so by chanting the Om, we actually allow ourselves to come into that space of oneness with the divine. So I want to invite you to, we're going to try to do this. I don't have much breath capacity this morning, but I'm going to do the Om 3 times. And then I'm going to invite you to chant the Om 3 times. All right. And what I want you to notice within yourself is how you feel when you've completed that chant. So let us begin. Om. 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 Now you chant the Om 3 times. And when you're finished, just notice how you feel in your body. Do you feel a change in energy? Do you feel a difference? Shanti in the Sanskrit means peace. It's the word for peace. And when you amplify the energy of the word peace by surrounding it in the Om, we're allowing for the potential to become realized, because that's really what we want. We can also chant Om Shanti 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 Om. And again, what we're doing is we're using the Om to take us into peace. We quiet our mind and we feel the energy of that peace and we allow it to grow within us. And if we take time every day, we can go on YouTube and listen to one of the Om chants. There are numerous ones there. So as you're learning to do this for yourself, if it's new, then you can go on to YouTube, pick one of the videos that does the chant and just chant along with them. It will become easy after time. But what we want to do is realize that within each one of us, there's infinite potential. And that infinite potential is the fuel that brings us to the full realization of who we are and why we're here. So one of the things we want to do is to really acknowledge that as a collective, we have the ability to create a world that is absolutely magnificent. And one of the things we do here in Science of Mind or in CSL is we teach the practice of spiritual mind treatment. And spiritual mind treatment is a way of sort of rewiring the brain or rewiring our thinking. We want to begin to look at how we show up in the world and what the world is reflecting back to us. Because remember, every person in your life is a mirror. Yes, a reflection of you. And so anything they think, say, or do has some relevance to you. It could be something deep in your subconscious, and it could be something you're fully aware of, but it's there. So when we begin to look at the world as a mirror, we start to realize, well, how I show up in the world is then going to be reflected back to me. So if I go into my mirror in the bathroom and I draw an X on my cheek, and then I go and look in another mirror and I go, hey, wait a minute, I don't want that there. And I go to the mirror and I start trying to rub it off. You see, we can't change the reflection. We have to work with first cause. We have to work with ourselves. So when I look out into the world and I see something that I don't like, and believe me, there are a few things that I would love to see changed. But as we look at that, again, we want to come back to our oneness. If there is, in fact, only one thing going on, then everything I do within myself impacts the whole of it. It must. Like if there's a pond of water in front of me and I slap my hand on it, it's going to create ripples. And those ripples are just going to move beyond my awareness, but they're still moving. It's energy. When I go into spiritual mind treatment and I start to acknowledge that there is a power and presence in the world that is infinite, creative, intelligent, and right here where I am, I'm part of it. I'm one with it. When I come to that understanding or that awareness, what happens then is if I can accept that, I begin to think along lines of being a powerful individual. I begin to live from an awareness of I am enough, that how I've been created is exactly right for the life that I'm living, for the journey that I'm walking, and for the place that I'm headed. You see, I want to live in a world that is very peaceful, kind, respectful. I don't expect perfection from every person every day, but what I would love to see is a willingness for each one of us to be curious about each other, to use our imagination to explore possibilities beyond what we think is reasonable. Got to get out of the box, start to think beyond reasonable and into the ethers of the unreasonable. I love what Einstein said. If at first the idea is not absurd, there's no hope for it. So when we check ourselves, when we're operating from mind space rather than from our heart space, when we're operating from the head instead of the heart, what happens is we look for logic, we look for proof, we look for a reason that could justify that this is going to work out okay. We look at our past and we go, can I do it? I don't know. We look to our friends and family and go, what do you think? What do you think? Do you think this could be done? They don't know. They don't know. Here's what we need to do. We need to stop looking outside of ourselves for the answers, for the solutions. What we want to do is go within and realize the answers are right here. I have the answers. You have the answers. You don't have the answers for my life, and I don't have the answers for yours. But we do have the answers for our own way of living. And you see, if I can live in a place of peace and possibility, if I can choose to live in a place where I acknowledge my power and my presence, if I can live in a space where I go, yeah, this is possible, I believe this, then what happens is I begin to act in a way that honors that belief system. So when I see a person on the street, homeless person, I don't look at them and go, oh, buddy, go get a job. I don't do that. I look at that person and know that, but by the grace of God, that could be me. That could be me. So I'm grateful every day for all that I have, because all that I have is all that I need. And so we begin from that place of I am enough. And when we come from that place that I am enough, what happens is we look at that homeless person, that person on the street who's asking for cash, and we know too that they are enough, that they have within them everything they need to create a life that is not only powerful and positive and productive, but joyful and peaceful as well. And how does all that happen? It happens by the way that we think. Our thinking makes it so. What is it that you're thinking about today? What is it that occupies your mind? Maybe you were watching presidential debates last week, or maybe you're into, some sort of following all the crime statistics to see what's going on. And maybe you're on the internet trying to figure everything out. I want to invite you to try something new, to let Google go for a minute. Not worry about your friends, your family, what they think or don't think, but instead go into that quiet space within you. And maybe you do it by chanting the Om. Chant the Om 3 times with your eyes closed, and allow that energy and vibration to fuel and fill that body of yours, and allow that energy to lift you, to expand you, to open your imagination and creativity to a place it's never been before, so that you might see what in fact is possible when you begin to live from your own state of belief in yourself, a belief that you're enough, a belief that you're valuable, that you're beautiful, that you're remarkable, and that you are essential. And if you write that word down, underline it a bunch of times, essential. You are essential to the unfolding of the universe at this time, in a way that is positive and productive to all of humanity, to all life, everywhere. That's you. I know. And sometimes we don't see it that way, do we? We look at our lives and we've got this problem or that situation, or we're so busy, we're so far behind that we think we're first. And so there's all these things going on that might overwhelm, that might create a sense of, I don't have time to meditate. Who has time to meditate? I got to be at work at 7, and I'd have to get up at 4 to do that. I'll share a story with you. I have a brother who lives in Airdrie, Alberta, and he's been working for an oil and gas company for years. And he starts work at 6 a.m. He gets up at 3 a.m. And then when he gets to his job, the parking lot, he's usually there by 5. And he's there by 5 so he can meditate for an hour before he starts. And he does it in his car. And we're talking Alberta here. So winter starts in, September and ends in August. I don't know. That's sort of, it's not quite that bad. But there's, you're in colder weather and stuff. So oftentimes he'd be sitting outside in the snow and wind and whatever, but he's in his car and getting that job done. The interesting thing is that as we can move our energy in such a way as to make the time to meditate. When I first started meditating, I didn't have time for it. I had two kids at home. I was a single parent. I was studying to become a minister. And I'm like, how on earth am I going to work, go to school, and parent these kids and figure out how it all going to fit in my day? So it's funny because our teacher kind of pushed it a little bit. You need to do this. So finally one day I did. I went, okay, I gotta change things. So let me start here. And I started doing my meditation every day. And I would do, you know, probably at first it was like 5 or 10 minutes. And then I decided to set an alarm so I could make it 20 minutes. Because I kept thinking, 1 minute would pass and I would open my eyes and go, it's got to be 20. Oh, one. All right, let's keep going. So that can be a little bit frustrating. So I would set an alarm and I would do it on my phone and I would have a very soft sound that would come when the alarm went off. So it wasn't, taking me out of my meditation in a really way, but rather a kind of a calm, way that just allowed me to gently come back to the moment. And what's fascinating about that is when I started doing the meditation, I was probably doing it just for maybe a week. And what I realized is I was accomplishing more each day, that my days were actually easier. My days were flowing in a much more beautiful fashion. Things were getting done. I was like, how am I getting all this done? And what I realized very quickly was by taking the 20 minutes to meditate, I actually probably added an hour and a half to my day by my productivity. I was doing better. So as we're journeying along, what we want to do is find a way to live our very, very best life, to live with a sense of peace and comfort, that all the things that we're dealing with, whether it's health or finances or relationships or even our work, that somehow all of it is taking me somewhere. And where I'm going is right and perfect. And the experience I'm having right now is, in fact, right and perfect also. And if I can just go, all right, it is what it is. I have a broken shoulder. Yeah, it's an inconvenience to say the least, but it doesn't get me down. It just is what it is. And tomorrow it'll be 3 weeks, and they say by 6 weeks I can get rid of this thing. So I'm really hopeful that it'll just heal. But here's what I've learned, right? Because everything is taking us somewhere. I have always had a bit of difficulty asking for support, asking for help when I need it. I tend to do everything myself if I can. And even if I can't, I still try to do it myself because, I don't want to burden anybody or bother anybody or interrupt somebody else's schedule. Now, I'm happy to have my schedule interrupted. I'm absolutely okay with that. But I don't want to interrupt anybody else's. Isn't that funny? That's kind of how we do stuff, right? We sit back and we go, well, I need to do this. So here I am, one-armed and trying to carry things, and my family getting on me. So what I've learned, because I had my prayer team that I work with say, there's a message here from the universe, obviously, that I'm not getting. So please, I want to get it. I want to know what it is. And the next morning I woke up and I went, oh my goodness, I don't know how to ask for help. And even when it's offered, I have trouble receiving it. Yeah. So I'm changing that. I've decided that I can ask for help. It's okay. And people can say yes or no. I'm okay with that as well. And that the energy of life is flowing and moving in a way that I just needed to get this piece. I needed to understand this. I'm not in this alone. And it's important that I take the time to allow others to journey with me. So as we're going along and we're building this spiritual community, because this is what it is, we have an opportunity to show up as our best selves. And we can do that in many ways of participating, whether it's, taking time to really just sit in the silence and meditate so that you know who you are and where you're headed, but also how you interact with the world around you. That's very, very important. So there's another phrase called, I'll probably pronounce it wrong, Ubuntu. And it means I am only because we are. I am only because we are. Now, since COVID hit and spiritual communities went viral and virtual, people were isolated in their homes, but at least we were still able to be community. And we've noticed that. We've noticed it in unity with spirit groups. We've noticed it in UFBL and CSL in classes, Sunday services, things like that, allowing ourselves to come together. When the pandemic first hit, I did prayer morning and night every day, 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. And I did that every day so that people could find some strength, hope, to lift their faith, their possibility as they were going through their day-to-day experience, whatever that might have looked like. So any way we move or show up or allow life to happen is going to be reflected back to us. And that's not because we're to blame for something. You're not to blame for anything. We've got 8 billion people on the planet, and the thoughts of 8 billion people have created the consciousness in which we live. And every one of us who can shift that to a place of love and peace and respect, honor, beginning with ourselves and then sharing it with the world around us, what happens is we begin to lift the 8 billion. We begin to lift the consciousness of everyone. And if we're sitting in the pit and we're talking about how bad life is and how hard it is and how terrible it is, well, guess what? We're pulling down the energy of the 8 billion. We are powerful. We are powerful beings, and we have the ability to honor that power and that presence by living in a state of true authenticity. To be authentic means to be real, to be me. So who am I? And sometimes we don't know that. And the reason we don't know that is because we were told from the time we were little children what we can and can't do, what is possible for us, what we might be able to accomplish. We were told to be reasonable. I love that word, reasonable. Don't dream too big, because if it doesn't happen, then you're going to be really sad. That's what my dad taught us. Yeah, don't dream too big, because then you'll be disappointed. No, if I'm reaching for the sun and I land in the stars, I've accomplished a lot. So we need to allow ourselves to fully be present in life. We're here to live. We're not here to put in time. We're not here to weigh a certain amount. We're not here to walk a certain path. We're not here to make anybody else happy. We are here to live, to experience the thing that's called living. And that means taking a breath in and out. It means walking and talking. It means connecting and allowing. It means that we are here to experience all of it. Okay, not just the sunshine and roses. We're here to experience all of it. The rain that causes the rainbow. The rain that waters the beautiful flowers, or the excrement from animals that can then fertilize the soil and make those roses grow even better. The life that we're living is truly on purpose, and it's taking us somewhere if we will stop for a moment and listen to that inner guidance that comes from our heart space. We will know what step to take, how to take it, when to take it, where to take it, and with whom. And we will experience a sense of freedom. That does not mean that every day will be a bowl of cherries. It doesn't mean that every day will be sunshine and beautiful music. What it means is every day I will acknowledge and recognize that I am having a day. And without judgment or criticism, I will have that day, knowing that it is taking me to someplace even better. I'm ready. Are you?